Hello and welcome. Do skip the 2 minutes if you're joining us after the fact. So we're getting ready to depart from Deadhorse here, Alaska, down to Fairbanks International, which is more central in Alaska. For those not aware, like I'm not, Alaska is that little bit of the US that is completely separate from the US. You've got the United States of America, you know, that big block, north, and then you've got Canada at the top. And then at the very top of Canada, over on the west side, you've got Alaska, which if you look on a map, is almost touching Russia, which is kind of mad when you think about all the shenanigans. So we'll be getting underway momentarily. I'm not going to put any overlays on today. We're just going to crack on with it. Some people might say that's because you didn't prepare any. They may or may not be accurate. We are on oh, what's sim called? VATSIM today, but for what good it's worth. I don't think we'll be stumbling across anybody, but if we do, they'll be here. We are flying as American 919, even though we're in the Delta livery. Reasons behind that is you can see the doors are a little bit too black, a little bit too dark. And so let's jump on in. There we go. Turn the sound up a little bit. And let's see if we can make anything work. Yeah, so it'd be nice to see some sort of snowy or icy type textures. I guess they would clear the ramp, but I guess it's kind of dark elsewhere. But I mean, does that look like it's minus 39? I don't know. Maybe a bit more white. All right, let's jump in and stop complaining about the scenery there. I don't know why it always defaults power available there when if we come to ground services, we see it's not connected. So I'm just going to connect ground power. And make sure that is on for sure. And what I'm going to do is put the AV flashlight on just so people can see what I'm doing. And so I'm going to turn the ground power on. Battery switch on. This, by the way, is the latest Zeebo. We went probably 2 months without updating. And then in the last couple of days, there's been about 3 or 4 updates. So I'm guessing he's been ill or he's been really busy or something. And the emergency lights, logo, position lights, wheel well on. Let's come all the way up top. Which is nice because even though I own a bunch of modules, as I've said before, probably about 50 altogether between all my flight sims, this one is free, Zeebo, and it is without doubt one of the best. You know, if I could only take 5 modules with me somewhere, and that would be it, free or otherwise, this would be one of them. Alright, it reckons 10 minutes, and that's because we're quite far away from the equator. It takes a bit longer to align the FMCs. That's fine. Ground power there looks good, so we'll switch that over to APU, which is of course not running. And if we take a look at the temperatures, passenger, we see we're unable to see a reading below freezing 0, and it is below. It's well below. We'll take a look in a minute. Let's get some more lighting on. You know, since they've tinkered around with all the lighting in X-Plane, you no longer need to set everything at full all the time. Like, it used to be that if you needed it, it was more or less full. But I don't think it's required anymore. I think that's kind of okay. Let's come down here, some more lighting down here. And up top, same again. To about there. I think that'll do. Alright, let's have a look at the flight plan for today then. There we have a tab, charts. Come back, click back on the charts. And this is it. So again, we're flying. This is a real flight, American Airlines 919. I think it's the only one that connects these two airports up. DEADHORSE-Fairbanks International. One of the northernmost airports that you can get to in the world, and certainly the coldest as of right now. If we scroll on down, through the flight plan, so we can see departure here. Currently minus 38 degrees Celsius. Destination Fairbanks minus 29. These are about 300 miles apart. So let's start loading up. See, we're going to be cruising at 31,000. So if we come over here, we'll set that up, 31,000. Land altitude before I forget. So let's put this into night mode. See, it's reasonably long runway for a 737, 6,500 feet. Elevation 61, 67 at the other end. So to the nearest 50, that is going to be 50, so that checks out. Can we light this compass up somehow? Let's see if we've got a little switch somewhere that I can't see immediately. Oh, there it is. Let's see what that looks like. I've never noticed that hidden switch before. There we go. It's not the best light in the world, but it'll do. We'll leave it on. Do you know, I've never before noticed that this truck has got a little spinning, I guess, air conditioning fan cooler at the top. Never noticed that. I don't know who's behind that, whether that's X-Plane Zebo or something else, but never noticed it. Alright, we'll switch over to the plan. And I'm still recovering from the flu. And I'm about my 3rd week into it, but at least I'm sat up for a little bit now each day. Man, it's been brutal. See if we can get the ATIS there. They call it the AFIS or the ASOS 18.4. Don't know if we can go. Can we go down that low? Oh, we can. Let's have a listen. See if we hear anything. And while we wait for that to come in, let's start loading up the aircraft. So come over to page 3. We've got 178 passengers, 10.1 cargo, and 15.2 on fuel. All weights are in pounds. So I'm just going to go with the payload total, 41.2 and 15.2 on fuel. Payload total 41.2. And that's going to split it between passengers and cargo. And fuel is 15.2. There we go. And we'll call the truck.
Ground flight deck hose disconnected and starting refueling.
Smoking signs on. Should have been on before I started refueling, but he's kind of instantaneous, isn't he? So I'll not blame myself entirely. Alright, data link. Let's see if this is working. Wasn't working for the longest time. I wonder if he's got CP, DLC. No, it doesn't seem to be integrated yet, but that's fine. Let's have a look. West's weather. EASC. See if we get anything from here. Message. No info from here. Fair enough. Seems we can't change anything there. Just out of interest, what about our destination? PAFA, Papa Alpha Fox Alpha. Send that. And whether that works or not, let's start planning here now that the aircraft's loading. Message, and no meters there either. Okay, so either that's not working at all, or these airports in particular are not working. Right, init page 73-8. We've got the latest nav datas installed, which are valid up to, what's that, December the 28th, 2022. So it'll be due for a change in a couple of days. Pause in it. Papa Alpha Sierra Charlie. Gate will leave blank. IRS could copy that down. I'm just...
Flight deck fuel is all loaded up and you are good to go.
Thank you very much. I'm going to grab the GPS position, which is going to be more precise than the airport overall. You see slight discrepancy on the end there. Over onto the route page. So we've got our origin here, our destination. I'm going to see if that loads in. So PASC, PAFA 01 into the company route, and that is indeed copied in. It's a very simple route. It's not very long, so we're not really saving much time typing that in. And we're flying as American. Let's put AAL for old school. 919, which is the legit flight number. Runway, we are expecting runway 24. Now, we don't got any... Seems like no ATIS. I'm not hearing anything. 18.4, let me just check that's in. 18.4, and that is definitely on. See if we've got anything else. Well, and because data link is not on, let's go with what is on the flight plan then. That's all we've got. So it reckons runway 24. And if we scroll down here, the departure information here at Dead Horse was 240 at 4 knots. So we've got light winds. Runway 24 is going to be the departure then anyway. 4 knots into the wind, that'll be nice, and we're at that end of the runway anyways. And that concurs with what's in the brief. So runway 24. Page 2. We've got a solitary waypoint. I'm just going to call it Mushroom. It's the one that we've got, so we'll activate that. Okay. Depart, arrive from Dead Horse, runway 24. Seems that there is no departure. So I'm gonna do it. You know, some people put disclaimers, oh, this is just for entertainment purposes only and don't use this in the real world. And no, go ahead, use it in the real world. If you see what I'm doing on my game and you want to do this in the real world when you're flying up to Dead Horse, do it. I don't mind. 238 on the heading. Honestly, I really don't mind. You go ahead. 238 on the course. And because we've got nothing... Just realised I'm just going to grab the pressure as well. Altimeter's 3010. Let's go back to page 2 there. And airport. So 3010. .3010. There we go. That copies across, which is nice. So I'm going to come over to legs page, and because there is no prescribed departure here, I'm going to come over here to the approach and look for runway 24. Oh, well, our VOR Zulu, that'll do, 24. Now this is the approach for 24, we're using 24 for departure. And so what I'm going to do, because there is no published departure for this runway, is I'm going to use basically the missed approach procedure for runway 24 as my departure. And you can see it's going to be runway heading until a certain point and we turn round, and that certain point is probably going to be stated somewhere else here. Missed, climb to 1,500 and then right turn to 2,000 direct to SCC VOR and hold. In other words, we take off, it's a right-hander after 1,500 direct to Dead Horse VOR, which is 1390. So let's get that tuned in. $13.90. My side. Now, is there anything else on your side in the area that we can make use of? And it don't look like it, so I'm going to put $13.90 on your side and all. Now, I've got the runway VOR course there, 238. Is there anything on your side? Well, we need to be proceeding on towards the south after our departure. I think this one here, Acorn on 163, that'll be decent. So it'll be a takeoff, a right hand turn over the VOR and then on down direct to Acorn 163. So let's put 163 in on your side. So the plan is in. Let's put that first waypoint in actually. Archon. Not Acorn, the Archons. And there we go. And then from there it'll be onto the mushroom. Okie doke. And then we'll deal with our arrivals on the way in. Cruise is at 31,000 as we've said. Let's get the fuel pump on. How long for the... Looks like system on the left is ready and system on the right is ready. Let's come over to the position. They're both in agreement. So I'm happy with that. And so with fuel pump on left hand side. Look here, fuel temperature. It's like almost at minus 40 degrees centigrade. That is getting close to freezing. As in the fuel temperature freezing point. I don't know if that is simulated in this game. Be interesting to find out. Turn the APU switch on. Wait a second and let's start her up. Release. EGT is coming up, so that's a good sign. And there we go, we got some lighting on the doors now. That's so it would seem to be that you need to have the aircraft powered on the inside in order for the doors on the outside not to be black. I guess because they're trying to light the door up from the other side, if that makes sense. So if no power's on the plane, even though the door's facing outwards, it's at least that's what it seems to be, because it was pitch black. Which is why I'm not in the American livery, because I actually swapped it over to the Delta just to see if I could fix these doors, and I couldn't. And I thought, you know, I don't want to keep swapping the planes before I start a flight, because, you know, it starts messing up, doesn't it? Alright, let's come inside, start the flight leg. Make sure that the emergency lights are armed, which they are. And APU says it's ready. We'll just give that a couple of moments. And let's go for it. My side, your side. Let's get the remaining fuel pumps on. This here is still indicating it's right close. I don't know at what point. Let's see if we can have a look. I'm just Googling it real quick. What temp does jet fuel freeze? Minus 46 degrees centigrade is the answer. So there's 20, 30, 40. So I don't know why there's not like a big red line or something where that point is. But it's basically this one here. So we've got about 8 degrees Celsius before the fuel allegedly freezes. Now I am on VATSIM, but I still think something not right with the radios on Nav1. No, it seems to be working, which is great. 122.8, fantastic. I don't know why that hasn't been working, but it's just started working now. So we'll keep an ear out on there just in case anybody shows up. No nearby ATC. And what I am going to do is just show where are we? Right, let me put ATC coverage, weather, and network flights. There we go. Alright. Let's have a quick look then. Sim Toolkit Pro. So that is currently the situation. So here's what I was on about. We've got the USA here, where sort of most of the aircraft and the weather is. And then this big block up here is Canada. Of course, over the ways here you've got Greenland. But then here is the USA again. This bit here is Alaska. And that includes a bunch of these islands here also belonging to the USA. And then from here to here, that's how close you've got the USA there and you've got Russia there. And on a clear day, you can see across. It's only, I think it's less than, well, it's certainly less than 100 miles. I've forgotten exactly how far it is, but it's not very far. And I'm not exactly sure who these islands in between belong to, whether they're USA or Russia or 6 or 1 1/2 dozen of the other, but either way. And then there, of course, you've got Russia, Japan, China and all the rest of it. And so we're up here. So again, it's about the northernmost airport you can go to. Certainly one of the largest. I think the northernmost on the regular is this one up here. And there's somebody there, Echo November Sierra Bravo. That forms part of Norway. But where we are is certainly much cooler for whatever reason. And so with that done, Let's come back into X-plane. Sounds like our people are about ready. We're about ready, so let's get APU bleed on. And with that, duct pressure comes up, and with that, let's get the packs on, both on auto. ISO valves open near the packs coming alive. We'll get trim air on. If I get the supply ducts over, see how long it takes to even start getting some warmth in the air conditioning packs, never mind the cabin. Supply ducts, you see, are still freezing. Packs left and right are still freezing. Of course, the passenger cab is going to be freezing with it. Window heat, my side, your side, on. Your damper can come on. APU Gen looks good. We'll switch over to Gen 2, ready for engine start. All the pumps are on. Let's have a look. Flight controls and electrics on the MC. We'll clear that out. Hopefully that will be resolved once we got engine start up. Here's the fuel quantity, 7.6 per side. Come back over here. Page 1, min takeoff total is going to be 14.7. And so we're well within there. Alright, well, let's look at getting ready for go. So it's going to be runway heading on 24, which is 238 on the magnetic. Some crazy magnetic anomalies up north here, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Switch over to map. We'll zoom in here. We will fly runway heading until passing 1500 as per the missed approach, and then we'll do a right hand back to Deadhorse VOR. Upon crossing that, we'll go south towards Archon, which is on about the 163 radial out of Deadhorse. That is dialed in on your side, 163. And at some point between those 2 points, we'll go from flying ourselves to going LNAV, VNAV. MSA for the area is 2.2. We're going to climb initially up to 6,000. We will put a fix in just to remind ourselves in case it goes wrong. And that is based on Deadhorse VOR, so SCC. Distance 25, and that's, if we zoom out, gonna draw this green ring in, and that green ring is the protected area here. So as long as we're in that green ring and as long as we're above 2,200 feet, we're not going to hit anything. Alright, performance numbers then. Gross weight, we'll go with what we've got. Plan, you know what, let's check here, everything's good. Let's get the people on ground to disappear. Ground services, get rid of the ground power unit, get rid of the chocks, doors, we'll close all of those. Coming up here, should see these lights start to go out. There we go. Everything is sealed up. Let's get ready there. Plan the push. Something like that will do.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
We're ready.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
I'm going to fly with my usual squawk, 5153, and we'll switch from standby to ALT off. Come back up top. Going to get the anti-collision light on, seen as the tug looks like one's going to drive straight through the other. We'll ignore that one.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Fantastic. Alright, so I don't forget 1500 feet on the right hand turn. I'm going to set my minimums over to the barometric. And I'm just going to spin that one round to 15. Not 20. There we go. 1500. Alright.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Parking brakes off.
Starting pushback. And you may start engines.
Okie doke. We're expected to use 5.9 on the trip. I'm going to round that off to 6. Reserves is going to be final plus alternate 7.3. I'm not going to round that off to 7.4 because we're going to start getting too many fuel notifications otherwise. Cost index is 15. And let's go ahead, turn packs off now. Still not got any warmth in. And let's go ahead, start number 2. Signs on would be a good move. Alright, what else we got? Cruising we said was 31,000. Engine there grinding up at 26 N2, which the Boeing manual for the engine's safe. It's very cold. Got to leave it grinding for a few seconds before put the fuel in. Normally, obviously, as you pass like 24%, you whack the fuel in. But if it's cold, you're supposed to leave it grinding for a bit. There we go. We got the insufficient fuel memo already. And there we go. Good start on 2. Coming back up top, and there we see it. External air temperature there. Probe is minus 37, and we've got good power on too. So let's switch over to Gen 1, and let's go ahead and crank number 1. Average winds for the flight 236 at 7. Doke. And average ISO deviation apparently only -5. I find that very difficult to believe. The average is only 5 degrees below standard when we are at -37 on the ground. I find that very difficult to believe, but you know what?
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Let's roll with it. -5. Okay. I'm gonna have to stand on my wheel brakes and then pull that.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Engine's been grinding for a while. Let's put the fuel in.
Any crew member instructions. Smoking is not allowed on any Delta flight. And federal law prohibits tampering with, disabling, or destroying a restaurant.
Alright. Let's do a quick light test. Christmas tree. Let's give him his signal first. There we go. 1, 2, 3, Christmas tree. I honestly remember that as a kid going in once. He pressed that button and that's what he said as he presses the button. My sister was with me at the time. We were still kids and I thought it was...
So it's disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Thank you. Alright. N1 limit on departure. So I'm not gonna full power. It's so cold outside. Could probably derate even further, but now let's derate there. Go over to the takeoff. Go with flaps 5. CG. Let's have a little look. Alright, thank you. He's waving us. We'll give him a flash of the light to let him know. And we'll put the taxis. Both engines are up and running, so we'll put those on bus. Engine start switches, we'll go ahead and put that onto continuous before I forget. Isolation valve on the packs, we'll open those. Set to auto. APU bleed off. Engine bleeds are on. With that, APU bleed can disappear. Or APU can disappear rather entirely. We'll get the probe heat on. Hydraulic pumps on. And with that, we're all good to go. Go ahead and put the wing lights on as well.
We'll be taking off in just a few minutes. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for departure.
Alright, CG with regards to current weight.
Cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
Thank you. Gross weight, CG, I guess that's what they're wanting us, 27. Trim 5 sounds about right. That's sort of where it defaults. And we'll go flaps 1, 2, 5. V speeds 41, 42, 49. We'll make sure that's locked in and come up top. 149. There we go. Right, quick flight controls check. And it's not automatic, unlike the Airbus. There we go. Forwards, neutral, aft, neutral, rolling left, rolling right, left boot, right boot. There we go. All right. Take off my side, legs page your side. Let's go. Parking brake off. Anti-skid switch over to RTO. Hang on, why is that still try that again. There we go. RTO rate not going, light not going out for the first time. Not sure what that was about, but we've got it out now. Alright. Al off, Al on. Let's have a look here. Settings. Wait, not this one. There we go. Override ATC. That's what I think I'm wanting. Tell you what, needing quite a lot of power to just taxi. And it looks like, I don't know, a bit of gravel by the side of the asphalt here, maybe. I do wonder who would choose to live up here. I mean, it's so cold. I mean, what is there here? Ah, that's something to look up actually when we're in the cruise. Like, you know, what is the you know, what's going on? Is there like a big fishing industry up here, or, you know, some sort of weird mine that, you know, Canada has its fair share of mines out ways up in the north that only really accessible by air. I bet everybody's waiting for that, what is it, a weekly flight or what? I don't know how often they get a connecting flight, but imagine all the fresh food and parcels and whatnot coming in on that flight. People must really look forward to it being cut off like that for however long. Anyway, here we are then, runway 24 Dead Horse, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn the transponder on. And we've got traffic indicated on the TCAS there. Of course, there is nothing there. Main employment is oil and mining. Thank you very much. Well, there we go. That makes sense, like the Canadian ones then. Alright, strobe lights on. Engines are already on continuous. And I'm thinking, do we need anti-ice on? Well, I can't see the moisture because it's dark. And so I'd say better safe than sorry. Yeah, now the runway does look cold. On the normal zoom, you can just about see like the ice glistening with those lights. I'll wait till we're lined up. Alright, let's turn that little icon off because that's cheating. So it's runway heading 238 degrees until passing 1500, then right hand turn back to the VOR, and then upon passing the VOR we are out on the way. But just before we do take off, we've got the continuous there. Let's put all the landing lights on. That's all set. Wheel well can disappear. And where's the anti-ice these days? There we go. Engine anti-ice 1 and 2. By the way, is the aircraft even... Look at that. We're finally warming up a bit. We've got about 8 degrees on the supply duct. Passenger cab, forward and aft, only just above 0. So it's taken about, what, 10 minutes? Maybe 15 on the packs just to get it above freezing. Alright, flight directors, my side, your side. Arm togas. Engine stable, release. And toga. Been a while since I've flown this. But I do hope that Zebo's fixed his little issues he was having. Happy Christmas to you too. Thank you very much.
80 knots.
80 knots. Turn that down just a tad. Thank you very much.
V1 rotate.
Right, that's not much left on V1.
Positive rate.
Gear up. Alright, I'm following the flight directors for now. I'm going to ignore what is
400.
in the plan there to turn left, because of course we're doing that right hand turn per the missed approach. So there's 1,000.
1,000.
And there's 15. Oh, a bit of turbulence. Look at the stall. Come on, out and round we go. Let's get the... Did I have the weather radar on? Well, I do now. There we go. Heading bug. Let's just turn that one round.
Bank angle. Bank
So we'll
angle.
turn the autopilot on. Let's go for 200 knots. Flaps 1. Zoom in a little bit. There we go. Keep the right hand turn going. Yeah. I hope you had a good Christmas. At least I was sat up for most of it, so certainly getting better here. Alright, let's accelerate to 250.
1,000 to go.
And let's bring flaps in. Gear lever off. And we'll assume we've been cleared up to 12. Coming up top then, so we'll get rid of the extendable landing lights, leave the fixed ones. Turn-offs and taxi lights can go. And wing lights, we'll turn those off. We'll turn logo, and we'll leave logo light on in case we go outside. So there's the VOR that we were to fly towards. And then on down to Archon, which will go direct now. Legs, Archon. Okay. LNAV. We'll switch over to VNAV. Is the autopilot not on? Why is the autopilot not lit on, but it is flying it? I think that's a bit of a glitch. Look at it, we've got command, N1, LNAV, VNAV, speed, and it's all lit up apart from the autopilot. RTO can come off. And if we have a little look, not too far. Is there no weather up here? Well, it is brightened up, so we should see some if there is. Passing through 10,000, and we'll clear ourselves up to cruise 31. We'll start accelerating away. I think up now. Let's have a little look at the dome light. It's up here somewhere. There we go. We'll set it to dim. And we're way through 10. We'll get rid of the landing lights. And I'll tell you what, it is clear because we can see the stars. I don't know if that shows up on the stream, but I can see the stars, so there's no moisture. And so with that, I'm going to turn the anti-ice off. Wait a couple of seconds and then turn the ignition switches off. Do you know what? I always forget something, and it's often the timer, and I have forgotten it this time. Let's start it now, and I'll add 5 minutes on. Yeah, so arriving at Papa Alpha Fox Alpha, I'm not sure if we had something given to us by SimBrief. Well, just that we're expecting 2 left. And because it's not too much else to do. Papa. So we got 2 arrivals. This one from the southeast. This one from the south/west. Both of us bringing towards either Hiska now. If we're expecting runway 2, let's have a little look. So we're expecting this one here, 2 left. Well, it's a long runway. Yeah, this one here is really short, 4,500 feet. And then there's another one here, a gravel one at 2,900. And then they've even got a water strip here. That is bizarre. I've never seen 4 runways on top of each other like that that go from concrete to gravel to water. In any case, we're expecting this one. Elevation is 436. That's going to be 450. Get that dialed in. That's a very freaky beacon, is that? Well, we're through 18. Let's go standard on the pressure and come up top. Smoking signs, should have got rid of them a while ago. Tell you what, we'll leave the wing lights on just so that we can see something outside. Cabin light in night time. There we go. I'm good. I'm pleased you're in good company. Taxi, yes. Flight now. Yeah, I often forget something. Especially if I've been flying one type of plane a bit more than the rest. And then I'll go on to something that I've not flown for a while. And I'll be like trying to remember whatever quirky thing it is about that plane, and always forget the timer up. It's almost always the timer. Alright, so coming in, we've got no star for our direction, but let's have a look actually. What was the weather? See if we need to even come round to runway 2. So Fairbanks, we are expecting 0 to 0 of 4 knots. I'll tell you what, we can land with a 4 knot tailwind when the runway is as long as it is. We've got some clouds, but it's clear. Yeah. So I think it would save a lot of time if we came in. Look how much warmer it is at our alternate here. -4 degrees versus -29. That's a massive difference. It's not bad, is it, for X-Plane? It's not bad. And you've got a couple of what else we got? We got the cruise lighting. There we go, which is like this pinkish purple. And then the takeoff and landing, which I think it was green. Yeah, there we go. Just a nice little touch. It's a little bit out of the way, having to go through to ground services, which I don't know, I guess they've got to put it under some menu, but it just feels a little bit out of the way. Well, we do got a bit of a tailwind helping us along. There's a lot more turbulence in this game than there used to be. Like, if you got real world weather on, you never get a smooth climb anymore. It's always doing this. And this is actually mild compared to what I usually see. And I'm not sure why it's doing this. I know it has been acknowledged that the turbulence is a bit exaggerated, but in terms of the little lumps and bumps, it doesn't seem exaggerated. It's this, like these massive swings. You don't get this in real life. Like, if you got this picture, which is like very little lumps and bumps, you don't see this. You'd see the arc moving, you know, a little bit, but not like halving and then doubling. Alright, I'm gonna set my bank limit to 10 and we'll release signs. Yeah, forced myself to go outside yesterday for a bit. Had a little walk with the girlfriend. Took my cat along because she likes to come outside with us sometimes, and she's obviously been waiting as well. And then my housemate went away for the night, so I've had the place to myself. Still catching up on sleep. I say catching up, it's the wrong word, I'm just not right, but it feels like I've been catching up. I've never had this before where I would sleep for 10 or 12 hours and then I would, normally if I slept for 10 or 12 hours, that's it, I'm awake now for no matter what time it is, I'm awake now because I've just slept too much. But this flew, man, I would get up for like an hour and then think, oh, I just need to rest for a bit. And then bang, another 10 or 12 hours would disappear. And I'm telling you, it's been like that for a couple of weeks now. And thank goodness I no longer feel ill with it. Because for the first week I felt really ill with it. You know, I was popping paracetamol and all sorts. But now it's just sleeping. Real meter wins QNH.
1,000 to go.
9998 wins 020 at 10 minus 23. I assume that's Fairbanks. 10 knots. Cool. Let's have a look then how that compares with my brief. Well, I've got 020 at 4. Obviously my brief is from about an hour ago, so you'll have the more up-to-date info there. Now, if we have a look on the forecast, which is from 5 o'clock. See, they are forecasting an increase in wind strength, so it's interesting that you have reported that increase in winds. So at least they were right on the forecast. Fairbanks 20 minutes. Yeah, well, that's much newer then. This here was Fairbanks 5:53, so that was about an hour and a half ago, the info that I've got. Alright, well, with a 10 knot tailwind, I guess it's going to have to be runway 20. I'm going to clear out. I don't know, because I'm still in two minds as to which runway we're going to get. So, not runway, arrival, approach. I'll get there eventually. So it's 2 left. So here's the ILS. Now there's that Silax waypoint. I like to sew it up nicely if I can. ILS Cat 2 and 3 is going to be the same. What about this one? Just the same really. Anav Yankee. 2 left. Now we could come via, I guess, this one. I'll keep that one up there as an option. And that's it. Oh, we've got the Zulu as well. No, I won't choose the one in the middle. I tell you what, this one looks good. The Arnav Zulu 2 left, because we're coming from the north, and it's got one from the north here. Golf Lima Delta Hotel Lima. That's going to be a nice approach all the way in. Let's go for that one. So Golf Lima Delta Hotel Lima. Golf Lima Delta Hotel Lima. Exec. Let's switch over to plan. So there's Mushroom, and there's our, what is going to be our final waypoint then. And then depart, arrive. Just make sure I get it right. Zulu 2 left on the Arnav. Arnav Zulu 2 left. Via that transition. And if we zoom in now, that's it. No stars because there's nothing suitable. So there's Mushroom, and there's that little turn. Perfect. And then if we miss, it's over to the right. We need to be at or above 4,000 at waypoint 1. Or at, I'm just going to call it waypoint 1. It does have a notification. What's that? RNP 0.60. So those are the required navigation performance, I think. So the system needs to be confident where it is within 0.6 of a nautical mile or greater. Otherwise we can't do it. And it's currently, I think it says, yeah, there we go. The actual is currently 0.02, so it's really confident where we are. See, we currently need, RNP needs to be within 2 miles. And look at that, it's actually changing. It is flickering a little bit, so it's not just a set number. I don't know how they compute that. Do they just throw a random number in? I don't know. But the required navigation for up here is 2 miles, which makes sense. We're out in the middle of nowhere. But when we get down onto the approach, that RNP, in theory, should match this at 0.6. We'll see. Transition at 18,000 or 180. Authorization required for unconstant baronav systems procedure not authorized below minus 18 degrees centigrade. Well, I guess this procedure is illegal with the current position. Cold temperature altitude correction required at or below minus 32. Well, I reckon we've got a compensated barometric VNAV. I don't know that for sure, but I'm guessing the latest 737s, they will have that in. Now, I did used to, back in the day when I was in the cadets, just little light powered, what back then it was the Grob Tutor and the Viking. I did the gliding and my flying scholarship, but I'm talking half a lifetime ago, and it certainly was not instrument procedures like this, it was literally just flying. And even then it was only, what, 10, 15 hours in total on each of them. I mean, it was a brilliant experience back in the day, but we certainly weren't looking at charts like this. Let's put the terrain on your side. Hey, look at that. Since when did they make it purple? I don't recall that. So there's some mountains up here up to like 6,400 feet somewhere. I mean, we're well above it. Right, let's settle with some SA. So I'm going to put a ring around the airport, half that. And 31 times 3 is going to be 93. So let's put a ring around there. Then I'm going to want... MSA is centered on runway 2 left, which it often is when it's an RNAV approach. They don't put a VOR or the airport, they put the actual runway in. Page 2 then. Runway 02 left. 25. Wow, alright. Well, you've been around since back when I was playing then. I wasn't playing in the Atari days, but when I was... Well, I'm 40 next year, which freaks me out big time. And when I was a kid, I was playing Microsoft Flight Sim 5, which was before they added textures onto the... onto the floor, so that the floor was just a solid green. And I can't remember if it was Flight Sim 5.1 or whatever, but at some point they added textures, so instead of it just being a solid green, there was now slightly darker greens and lighter greens. And that was like, wow. And I'm going back about for like 25 years maybe. Man, yeah, because I'm 40 next year and I was flying flight sims back when I first got a computer. Well, I say it was mine, it was my parents', but I'm talking, well, maybe even 30 years ago. But very early days. And I can't remember the flight sim number, but it just had this little square area to fly in. And around the edges you had these 3 or 4 triangles which were mountains, and in this area was just like a black grid. The ground was green, but like every mile was a black line as this grid. And there were 2 or 3 runways in the entire map. which were just these little grey rectangles, and that was, it was telling you it was 99% imagination and 1% something there. And it was a super geeky thing to do in those days. You didn't have kids playing computer games back then. It was... Started drawing your pension recently. Oh my god, yeah. Isn't it freaky how time goes on? I'm telling you, I was young, and I felt like I was young forever. You know, it was lasting forever. Hey, look at this! What they've got with the I've not noticed this before. Look at the VOR needles swinging around here. It's a nice touch. And you know, my girlfriend, who is, we've been together 10, 11 years. She's like 5 years older than me, and she keeps going on about it. You know, getting old. And for ages, I said, "What are you on about? You know, we're still young." And then, I don't know, it feels like since I've had this flu, all of a sudden I don't feel so young anymore. And then I, like you saying, you know, how the graphics have come on the flight sims. And I fancy having a go on Flight Sim 2020 after this. I prefer the graphics in Flight Sim 2020, but of course, the realism in X-Plane is better. And you see some of the graphics and you just think, holy moly, when I think back to, you know, these rectangles I was on about. Just a rectangle for an entire mountain, and there was only 3 or 4 of them on the entire map. Alright, well, we're approaching top of descent. I'm going to do it my way. Mushroom. So I don't see any benefit in continuing towards Mushroom. I think we may as well go direct to this one. So legs. I don't know how you'd even begin to say that. GLDHL. I guess Guild Hall or something. I don't know. Either way, let's go direct to... I'm just going to check these heights now because I'm not going to be able to do it later on. So we need to be at or above 4,000 until Wolsey, and then we can descend down to 3.2, which is in there. Then we've got 2.2, which is there. Then we've got 1.6, which is there, to Honut. And then at Honut, it's a 3 degree down onto runway 2 left. If we miss, it's up to 5,000 on 023, which is runway heading, I believe, and it is 023. In fact, so I don't forget, let's put that on the course now. And I know it's Arnav all the way. Got quite a nice crosswind. That was sort of quartering behind us earlier on in the flight. It's now slightly ahead of us. I am just going to see if... Used to be, where are we? There was a way where I could put the chat on. Let's do a test. I'll figure it out. Test. Right, let's copy that link. I realise you can't see what I'm doing at the moment, but oh, I'm glad you've enjoyed those LTN videos. It really is. I really do like the Fearless plane, and I'm really glad that you found those videos useful, because it took me a little while, you know, to get used to it. And then I realized, well, if it took me a while, there's going to be other people as well. That's not quite right, is it? That's nearly right, but not quite right. Live. Do you know what? I'm going to leave it off for now. There is a way to get the chat on the video looking a bit better than that. It's a lot easier on Twitch, but there is a way to do it on YouTube. We'll sort it out another time. I would really like the Fearless 7.4 on Flight Sim 20. I mean, I would like all the decent modules on Flight Sim 2020. The problem is the flight model in 2020 is not very good. And I feel like these people would be selling out what is a realistic plane for one that looks nicer but is unrealistic. But I think I'm going to give the Airbus a go. Maybe after this, we'll find somewhere that looks nice. Yeah. Steam's something that comes out the top of a train or a kettle, indeed. Yeah, so in real life, I mean, you know, like with you, you'll remember a time pre-2001 where you could visit the cockpit, and I know that whenever there was sort of any weather like this where you see the throttles moving around, they would get rid of the auto throttle and they would just manually move it, and then they would set it there, and they would ignore these little changes in the speed. They would just look at the overall trend. I mean, I guess your ground speed is a good one to go off. So let's add a little bit of power. But we're getting right on top of the descent now. I'm going to give myself a little waypoint here just to help with my height, because we've not actually got any waypoints between here and that first one. Is there even a VOR at this place? There is. Fairbanks 1086. I'm going to dial that in just so we've got something on. May as well put it in on both sides. And there we've got it. Fairbanks DME 104. I'm going to create a custom waypoint based off that. FAI The opposite of 167. Oh, what's that? 347, I think. 347. And I'll put a waypoint in. Let's go for 80 miles. And there we see that custom waypoint there. So I'm going to go direct to that waypoint. And then I'm going to put another one in. 347. 50 miles. Okay. And now we're connected up. I mean, we were connected up anyway, but it gives me a couple of waypoints along the way. Yeah, that should be nice. And to try and make sure, let me clear up some of this grot I don't need. I'm just going to keep that one because we've got the VOR on there. And then I just want to add the airport itself onto the end. There we go. Yeah, interesting. They would call this runway here 2 right, and then they would call this one 2, which I guess would be your center, and 2 whiskey. I've never seen that before. Not anything close to it. Anyway, elevation 450, I think I put that in. I did. It's a really long runway. We've got the FMC light to reset altitude. Oh, let's drop down to 12. And I'm going to use level change. Still on manual power. I'm bringing it back myself, and I'm going to increase the Mach number slightly. Where we're here with the signs on, turn off lights on. And I'm just curious, has the cabin warmed up yet? Look at that, finally the passenger cabin is warmed up. Not entirely sure when that happened, but that took a long time. I do got weather radar on, there doesn't seem to be any. And I'm going to switch over now to Mach knots rather, and maintain 300 knots from here on down. What's this guy's got covered in cobwebs? What's that all about? They're all covered in cobwebs. Did they all freeze to death or something when they got on my plane? I think it would warm up a little quicker. We'll have to see if it makes a difference. We'll look at that next time I do a flight. I'll have a look. Well, our flight level change has got us more or less exactly where VNAV would want us, maybe slightly lower, but only just. And I think there is a little bit of weather starting to show up there. There is, you can just about make it out. And we've got terrain. I think I'm going to get the vertical speed on and auto throttle on. Do it old school way. I can still see stars. But at some point let's see if we can pick up the 80s from this place. 124.4.
Fairbanks International information.
There we go.
0755 Zulu arriving runway 02 left. Departing runway 02.
Needs to be a bit louder, really.
Wind 010 degrees at 8 knots. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions broken at 17,000. Fuel at 23,500.
All right, we are within the moisture area then.
Point minus 27.
Let's get it on.
45.
I'm not sure if I've ever had ice in Naka myself, but I have in thunderstorms. I'm not sure just regular icing.
Information Hotel 0755 Zulu arriving runway 02 left. Departing runway 02 left. Weather wind 0.
Put the wing anti-ice on as well, why not?
Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions broken at 17,000. Fuel at 23,500. Temperature minus 22. Dew point minus 27. Altimeter 2945. Advise on initial contact you have information hotel.
Alright, altimeter's 2945.
Fairbanks International information hotel 0755 Zulu arriving runway 02 left. Departing runway 02 left. Weather wind 010 degrees at 8 knots. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions broken at 17,000. Fuel at 23,500.
Flaps 30.
2. Dew point minus 27. Altimeter 2945. Advise on initial contact you have information hotel.
Alright, we're dropping through flight level 180 now, so there's 2945.
Fairbanks International information hotel 0755 Zulu arriving runway 02 left. Departing runway 02 left. Weather wind 010 degrees at 8 knots. Visibility
010 at 8.
Sky conditions broken at
I'll turn that off.
17,000. Fuel at 23.
So 010 at 8. I'm going to leave the correction in then at 5 knots. Minimums are Well, RNP 15, RNP 30, what have we got? We've got 0.03. Yeah, there, look, it's got it there. The required navigation performance is 0.30. So that matches up with this now. Here we got it, 0.30. But we can actually go with this one. And that, because ours is down to like 0.03 or something. So we can get the lower minimums in, 359 feet versus 412. So let's reset that radio. 359, there we go. Zoom in a bit. Now we're getting inside that protected area momentarily, which was 4,500 feet. And we'll be, yeah, there we are. I'm going to turn our little triangle off because I feel that's cheating. Coming up to
1,000 to go.
12, continue descending down to 10. I'm going to get the fixed landing lights on and reduce speed to 200 and now let's go 250. I'll go over to level change to pull that off. I always find the cabin is a bit warm by default anyway. What's that, about 24 degrees in the front, 22 in the back. Turn that down a bit. Well, we've got some light outside for the first time. Some street lighting, just about make it out. I do find it amazing they store all this on your hard drive. Like Flight Sim where they pull it in from your internet connection. Oh. Where's the front of my plane glowing up? Right. Well, here we are at 250. We're about to drop through 10. I'm going to dial in 4,500 because that's the MSA for the area. We need to be at or above 4,000 by well, the next couple of waypoints anyway. Zoom in again. Yeah, see these VOR both dialed in. What I'm going to do is turn your one off just to declutter a little bit. In fact, I think turn my one off as well. So it's 10 miles to this waypoint here, the initial approach fix. Yeah, they recently redid the whole RNAV, RNP sort of approach naming configurations. That's everywhere, not just here. And so pretty much you've got your ILS ones or your RNP. Whereas before they had RNPs and RNAVs separately. It got really, really confusing and they just merged them all to RNP, I think. You've still got your old school VOR approaches and visual and whatnot, but most big airports now it's either RNP or INS and that's it. It's looking good. Yeah, so we're going in with flaps 30. Yeah, Zebo's definitely sorted out whatever issues there was with his plane. I don't know why, let's say, he didn't update it for a couple of months. I can only guess maybe he was ill. But he has been updating it for the last few days.
$2,500.
1,000 to go.
Well, we're well above the terrain, so I'm going to continue down to 4,000 and I'll reduce to 240. Zoom in on my side.
1,000 to go.
I'm going to make use of boards briefly. Get rid of them.
$2,500.
All right then. Flaps 1. It's a huge slat. So I didn't realize on the 7.3 it's the entire wing. Let's slow down. And we can continue descending now. It really is. The Zebo is very impressive. Like, say if if you took away the fact that I had to pay for some modules and not others, the Zebo would be one of the ones I would take. I'm going to go on to VNAV, but with the speed intervent on. I'm going to hit the approach. Yeah, it's an incredible piece of work. Alright, flaps 5 and reduce. Yeah, so I'm coming in at 149 plus 5, so I want 154. Arm the speed brakes. Auto brakes 1.
2,500.
And runway in sight. I'm going to assume we're clear for land now, so I'll put all the forward facing lights on, put taxi light on as well. And cabin crew. Well, I guess you got to do it here. There we go.
Lieutenants, please prepare the cab for arrival.
Flaps 10.
And ladies and gentlemen, the double thing indicates that the aircraft is now on its final approach. time we have it cleared to land. At this time, all passengers must remain seated with their seatbelts securely fastened. Your trade deal.
Flaps 15. 154. Here comes the gear. MCP, speed, FAC and GP. So we've got the... Oh, I forgot what FAC even stands for. But it's to do with the RNAV approach. And then GP is going to be glide path. Set that to 25. Heading is going to be runway 023 in case that goes wrong. And I think it was... Yeah, if we miss it's up to 5,000, so we'll set that in here.
1,000.
1,000 feet stabilized, Mr. Perch altitude.
Alright, flaps 25. Flaps 30. Disconnect the autopilot. Disconnect the auto throttle. Yeah, this is easily better than half of the pieces of payware that I've got. I mean, it's sad to say, and that is that they made, or somebody made a Concorde for X-Plane 11, which I bought.
400.
And it was one of the worst modules I'd ever bought in terms of detail and completeness, and it was just the sound was terrible. It was just the nostalgia of having a Concorde and feeling, you know, being born British, that somehow that was somehow to do with my country. I guess that's called racism, but whatever. That's the feeling that I had about it, and it was terrible.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
There we go. A bit of a crosswind there.
$80 knots.
Alright, let's stand on the brakes a little bit. Get rid of the reversers. Flaps up. It's going to be a short taxi, so we'll get the APU started right away. Landing lights off. Strobes off. Wing light off. Come back here. Transponder off. Weather radar off. Auto brakes off. Thank you very much. It worked bad. Yeah, so I fancy something a bit scenic now before I get too tired again and have to crawl off back up to bed. But I'll just keep the stream going while I jump on over. There doesn't seem to be any real obvious terminal here. Now we'll just pull in here. Oh man. Oh, there are a couple of gates over there. Let's see if X-Plane will grab it. I used to have the jetway module where these things would come out and meet you on X-Plane 11, but I think on X-Plane 12 he made it so that they do come out and meet you. These airway bridges or jetways. Let's pull in this one, see if we get it. Turn the start ignition switches off. Come up here, get rid of the anti-ice. Oops, I stopped. Always sort of, when you're trying to do too many things, I go a bit on the brakes just in case, but I think I was a bit too eager there. Oh shit. The game's just crashed. Oh well, I was right there. That's a bit of a shame. The game crashing as I'm right there, never mind. Okay. Right, I will be there 1 sec. Let's have a look. Ignore that intro screen, it's just so there's something there while I load up. I'll tell you what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to fly some warbirds. All right, take care, my friend. Nice to see you. Enjoy your breakfast. I'm gonna do some World War II. Until next time. Alright, there we go then. I'll play this in 4K. So I'm just going to press Control F. I'm streaming in too. And I just fancy some World War II action. So let's come over to the channel map. It's been ages since I've done any dogfighting. And I'm thinking it would make more sense to actually restart the stream with a World War II title. So I am going to do that. So I'll be